So just this week, Pokémon Go was dethroned as the top grossing app in Apple's US App Store, stopping the streak at 74 days. It was defeated by another very popular mobile game, Clash Royale, and this was probably attributed to their recent update to the game, including a tournament mode and new virtual items for sale. If only Niantic had spent more time doing updates like that instead of taking tools away from players enjoying their game. There's no denying the insane popularity of Pokémon Go. At one point in July of 2016, the app had an unbelievable 45 million active daily users. By the end of August, however, that number had dropped by almost 12 million, and it seems the most intense phase of the Pokémon Go fad may be dying down. But why exactly is Pokémon Go so popular? Does it even stand up as a game, and will it die sooner rather than later? If by some way you haven't played this game yet, the way it works is pretty simple to understand. Out in the world are these pocket monsters, or Pokemon for short. You are a Pokemon trainer. You have to find and capture these Pokemon and train them to compete against the Pokemon of other trainers. In Pokemon Go, you have to physically walk around the real world using GPS mapping. There are three types of things you can find: Pokemon themselves, Pokestops, and gyms. Pokemon has a bunch of different resources that you need to manage in order for you to obtain the main goal of collecting and developing the strongest Pokemon team in the world. Pokemon Go follows a free-to-play model with microtransactions, charging real money for Pokecoins, which can be used to buy consumables you need to easily catch Pokemon and heal them up. Overall, the game is simple enough so that just about anyone can get into it. It's completely fair to describe the game as casual, which puts it in the same realm as Candy Crush or Farmville. The game has been popular to a degree that sets it above those two examples, and figuring out why exactly is a very interesting puzzle. One of the main explanations I hear for Pokemon Go's popularity is that people are just nostalgic for the game, especially people who were kids when the first Pokemon games came out and the first cartoon aired. I don't doubt that strong nostalgia has some role to play here. The focus on only the first generation of Pokemon clearly indicates that the developer didn't ignore that aspect of the whole thing, but I think nostalgia is relatively a minor cog in the overall phenomenon that is Pokemon Go. The first thing everyone should keep in mind is that at no point since the Pokemon franchise was launched back in '96 has a Pokemon game not been popular. This is a strong and dependable franchise. Characters like Pikachu have a sort of brand recognition that Mickey Mouse has, and the Pokemon Company presides over a media empire that includes games, merchandise, TV shows, movies, and probably adult toys. Although I can't verify that last one. Anyways, according to the Pokemon Company, the total market worth of Pokemon stood at 4.8 trillion yen. Depending on the exchange rate, that's roughly around $50 billion range. At the start of August 2016, the revenue from the in-game app purchases of Pokemon Go was about to hit 233 million. It's nothing to be sniffed at, but obviously there's a drop in the bucket compared to the total amount Pokemon is worth. Like most free-to-play games, it's likely that ads will be coming to Pokemon Go in the near future, and that could mean an insane amount of money if the player base stays large. To me, this makes the nostalgic argument less compelling, since it's not as if no one has been playing Pokemon since the 90s and Pokemon Go revitalized the franchise. So if it's not nostalgia alone, what could it be? To start with, this is one of the first times Pokemon has been officially available outside of Nintendo's walled garden. You don't need to buy Nintendo hardware in order to play Pokemon Go. Every Android or iOS device that's no more than a few years old can play Pokemon Go. Therefore, the install base that the game caters for is more mind-numbingly massive. Secondly, this game is free-to-play, so the barrier for entry is extremely low. That's going to explain a lot of the early numbers. The free-to-play model counts on getting a lot of people through the door, and betting that some of them will stay and spend real money. Combined with the immense brand recognition of Pokemon, and even people who have never played a Pokemon game might give it a go. Thirdly, a self-fueled hype machine driven by media coverage and social media virality kept people aware of the game, especially thanks to the augmented reality novelty of the game. And there's definitely some behavioral factors at work here. Definitely more than I have time to discuss, but simply put, the fear of missing out and a desire of social conformity definitely featured near the top of that list. All three of these factors are over and above any design features of the actual game, so that's something to think about. Pokemon Go was set up for fame, or at least notoriety, before anyone even got to review it. Of course, now that people have been playing it, the experience itself is going to decide. So can the experience of Pokemon Go as it exists today keep it going? Clearly, about 75% of the original fan base still thinks that Pokemon Go is worth sticking with. What we have to ask ourselves is whether the gaming experience provided succeeds or not on its own merits. It's fine for a game to be designed any way you want as long as the players are engaged and enjoying themselves. If someone somewhere is having fun, then the game has succeeded in the most basic sense. However, Pokemon Go's biggest problem is its lack of a compelling endgame. The developer's answer has been making leveling take longer. With free-to-play games, one of the most important design elements is balancing the frequency of rewards. Personally, I think that the decision of increasing the grind was therefore reckless. People will have fun with it, but if Niantic, Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company want to keep this train going, they're going to need compelling things for the players to do. Trading Pokemon will be a winner for sure. Since it strongly increases the social aspect of the game, adding PvP battles will make the game so popular that the servers will probably crash all over again. Question is, however, can they do it before everyone loses interest? Unfortunately, it seems that the developers may be like a dog that finally catches a car it's been chasing, only to realize it's bitten off more than it can chew. They have their multi-million-dollar audience, and everyone's waiting for the next act to come on stage, but it seems like recently all we're getting is just crickets and static.